There was a time when a broken vacuum cleaner did not go straight to the trash. It went to a shop, a narrow storefront on a main street, a bell above the door, a faded sign in the window that said sales, service, bags, belts, repairs. Inside, the air smelled like dust, rubber belts, machine oil, warm motors, and old carpet. There were upright vacuums lined up like soldiers, canister vacuums with long hoses, paper bags stacked on shelves, and brush rolls waiting to be cleaned. Behind the counter, a repairman could listen to the sound of a machine and know almost immediately what was wrong. A bad belt, a clogged hose, a worn brush roll, a tired motor, a cord that had been pulled too many times. For decades, these shops kept America's carpets clean and America's machines alive. But one by one, they began to disappear. The shelves emptied. The counters went quiet. The old repairmen retired. And most people stopped asking whether a vacuum cleaner could be fixed. They started asking what new one they should buy. So what happened to the vacuum repair shops America forgot? To understand the vacuum repair shop, you have to understand the kind of home it served. For much of the 20th century, the American home changed under people's feet. Wall-to-wall carpet became a symbol of comfort, prosperity, and the modern family home. A clean carpet said something about a household. It suggested order, pride, and care. And the vacuum cleaner became one of the most important machines in that home. It was pulled from closets, rolled across living rooms, carried upstairs, and pushed through years of dust, pet hair, crumbs, ash, and ordinary family life. A vacuum cleaner was not glamorous, but it worked hard. Many older machines were built with metal housings, replaceable belts, serviceable motors, bags, hoses, wheels, switches, and brush rolls. When they lost suction, made a burning smell, snapped a belt, or began to scream from the motor, people did not always replace them. They took them to the vacuum shop. These shops were part store, part workshop, part neighborhood advice desk. A customer might walk in holding a hose in one hand and a paper bag in the other, asking if the shop still carried that size. The man behind the counter usually knew before the customer finished the sentence. He knew the brands. He knew the models. He knew which machines were worth saving and which ones would fight him the whole way. Some shops sold new vacuums. Some serviced older ones. Some did both because that was how the business survived. There were belts hanging on pegboards, bags and cardboard sleeves, replacement hoses, switches, cords, wheels, filters, and tiny parts no department store would ever carry. The repair bench had screwdrivers, pliers, motor brushes, grease, compressed air, and a pile of screws that always seemed to find their way back home. The work was physical, dirty, and strangely precise. A vacuum shop repairman had to deal with dust from other people's homes, hair wrapped around brush rolls, pennies in hoses, broken zippers on bags, and motors packed with years of use. He had to know electricity, airflow, motors, belts, bearings, plastic housings, metal castings, and customer patience. And he had to do it all in a way that made the customer feel the machine was still worth owning. Because in that older world, a vacuum cleaner was not always a cheap purchase. Some families bought them from department stores. Others bought them from door-to-door salesmen who carried demonstration machines into living rooms. A salesman might sprinkle dirt on the carpet, run the machine over it, and show the family what had been hiding in the fibers. It was part theater, part engineering, and part promise. The promise was simple: buy a good machine, maintain it, repair it, and it will serve you for years. That promise kept vacuum repair shops alive. For a long time, the business made sense. A belt replacement could restore a machine. A new bag could bring back suction. A cleaned hose could save a motor. A rebuilt brush roll could make an old vacuum feel young again. The customer paid less than the cost of a new machine. The repairman earned a living. The vacuum stayed out of the landfill. But the world around the vacuum shop began to change. The first pressure was price. As mass production expanded and retail changed, new vacuums became easier to buy and easier to replace. Big box stores put rows of machines under bright lights, each box promising more power, less effort, and a cleaner home. Later, online shopping made the decision even easier. A broken vacuum could be replaced without speaking to anyone at all. That was convenient for the customer. It was brutal for the repair shop. A repair estimate had to compete with a new box on a shelf. And when the new box was cheap enough, Many customers chose the box. The second pressure was design. Older machines were not perfect, but many were made to be opened. Screws came out. Belts came off. Motors could be reached. Hoses could be replaced. Newer machines often became lighter, cheaper, more plastic, and more integrated. Clips replaced screws. Proprietary parts replaced common parts. Battery packs, sealed modules, sensors, and circuit boards entered a machine that once depended mostly on suction and a spinning brush. A vacuum that once needed a belt might now need a battery, a board, a charger, a sensor, or a plastic assembly that was never meant to be repaired at the bench. The repairman could still open it, but opening it was no longer the same as being able to fix it. The third pressure was parts. For an old repair shop, parts were life. Belts, bags, hoses, switches, motors, wheels, gaskets, brush strips, filters, cords. But as models multiplied, keeping parts in stock became harder. A shop that once knew every common model in town now faced machines sold under dozens of names, redesigned every few years, sometimes every season. Some parts were discontinued. Some were too expensive. Some were only available through limited service channels. The customer did not always understand why a simple-looking repair could require a part that no one could get. The repairman understood too well. The fourth pressure was the customer's expectation. In the old repair culture, people were used to waiting. A part might take a week. A repair might take several days. That was normal. But modern customers wanted speed. They wanted a quick answer, a low estimate, and a machine back almost immediately. If the answer was complicated, they went shopping. And the fifth pressure was generational. Many vacuum repair shops were built around one person or one family. The owner knew the suppliers, the regulars, the brands, the shortcuts, the bad models, the good motors, and the customers who still believed in repair. But when that owner got older, there was often no apprentice waiting at the bench. Younger people were pushed toward college, offices, computers, and cleaner work. Few wanted to spend their days cutting hair from brush rolls, replacing cords, breathing dust, and convincing people that a machine still had life in it. So the trade aged. And as the trade aged, the shops began to thin out. The death of a vacuum repair shop rarely made news. It happened quietly, often after decades of business. First, there were fewer walk-ins. Then fewer repairs were approved. Then the parts wall became more memory than inventory. Bags for models nobody owned anymore. Belts for machines long gone. Hoses hanging like reminders of a business that used to move every day. The phone still rang, but the questions changed. Is it worth fixing? Do you work on cordless vacuums? Can you repair the battery? Do you have parts for this brand I bought online? Sometimes the honest answer was no. Not because the repairman lacked skill, because the machine, the parts, the price, and the market all pointed in the same direction. Replace it. For a repairman, those two words could feel like the end of a conversation that used to last a lifetime. Because vacuum shops were not only about vacuums. They were places where people asked questions. What machine should I buy? Why does this one smell hot? Why does it leave lines in the carpet? Why does it scream when I turn it on? The repairman answered from experience, not from a product page. He knew what failed after 5 years. He knew which wheels cracked, which belts slipped, which hoses tore, which motors survived. That knowledge was local, practical, and earned. It did not come from a star rating. It came from thousands of machines opened on the same bench. When a vacuum shop closed, all of that knowledge often disappeared with it. The landlord got the keys. The sign came down. The old machines were sold, scrapped, or left in the back. The repair bench was cleared. The pegboard came off the wall. The last invoices went into a box. And a town lost one more place where broken things were expected to come back. That is the quiet tragedy of the vacuum repair shop. It did not disappear because nobody needed clean floors. It disappeared because the way we buy, use, and abandon machines changed. And yet, the story is not over. There are still vacuum repair shops in America. Some survive by servicing high-end machines that were built to last longer and still have parts available. Some repair commercial vacuums for hotels, offices, schools, churches, janitorial crews, and cleaning companies. In that world, repair still makes sense because the machine is a tool, not a throwaway gadget. Some shops keep central vacuum systems running in older houses, tracing suction problems through walls and garages. Some still carry bags and belts for machines older than the customers who bring them in. And some repairmen have become part technician, part historian. They restore old Hoovers, Electrolux canisters, Kirby's, Royals, Eurekas, and other machines that once defined American housekeeping. To collectors, these machines are not just appliances. They are industrial design, family memory, and mechanical history. A polished metal upright can carry the look of a certain decade. A canister vacuum can recall a grandmother's hallway closet. A cloth bag can bring back the smell of an older house. The last vacuum repairmen understand that memory. They also understand the machine. They know that suction is not magic. It is airflow, seals, motor speed, brush contact, bag condition, and a path that must stay clear. They know that a machine can sound healthy or tired. They know when a belt is slipping, when a bearing is dry, when a brush roll is worn, and when a customer has been using the wrong bag for years. That kind of knowledge is not flashy, but it is the difference between a machine being thrown away and a machine being useful again. In a country that throws away so much, that difference still matters. The right to repair movement often focuses on phones, tractors, laptops, and cars. But the heart of the idea is older than any smartphone. It is the belief that when you buy a machine, you should be able to maintain it, open it, understand it, and keep it working. Vacuum repair shops lived by that belief long before it had a political name. They were right to repair in its most ordinary form. Not a slogan, not a lawsuit, just a person at a bench trying to make a machine work again. And maybe that is why the disappearance of these shops feels larger than the disappearance of one business. They represented a different relationship with ownership. You did not own a machine only until it failed. You owned it through maintenance, through repairs, through worn belts and replacement bags, through years of ordinary service. That relationship made objects feel less disposable. It made the person who fixed them part of the community. A vacuum shop owner might know who had pets, who had allergies, who needed a lighter machine, who cleaned offices at night, and who could not afford to replace what they had. That was not data. That was memory. Today, much of that memory has been replaced by reviews, shipping boxes, and return labels. It is easier, but it is lonelier. No one hears the machine. No one knows the story. No one tells you that a $10 belt could have saved it. The old vacuum repair shop knew that small parts could change the ending. That is a humble kind of wisdom. The vacuum cleaner itself may seem ordinary, maybe too ordinary for nostalgia. But ordinary objects are where a culture reveals itself. A nation's history is not only written in wars, elections, factories, and skyscrapers. Sometimes it is written in the places where people brought broken things and expected someone to care. The vacuum repair shop was one of those places. It was not elegant. It was not famous. It rarely appeared in movies or history books. But for years, it kept machines running, saved families money, helped small businesses survive, and kept usable things from being thrown away. That is not a small thing. Today, if you find an old vacuum repair shop still open, step inside. Listen to the bell over the door. Look at the parts on the wall. Notice the machines waiting in line. Somewhere in that room is a way of thinking that used to be common in America. The idea that broken did not mean worthless. The idea that a machine could deserve another chance. The idea that work done with hands, patience, and experience still mattered. We gained convenience when these shops disappeared. We gained lower prices, lighter machines, faster delivery, and more choices than any vacuum shop wall could ever hold. But we lost the person who could tell us what was worth keeping. We lost the place where small failures were treated as problems to solve, not reasons to throw something away. We lost one more connection between ownership and responsibility. And maybe that is why a simple vacuum shop can feel like a doorway into a different America. A slower America, a more practical America, an America that believed the things in our homes could be opened, understood, maintained, and saved. Most of those shops are gone now, but a few are still there, with belts on the wall, bags on the shelf, tools on the bench, and an old repairman who still knows what a tired motor sounds like. He plugs the machine in. He listens. He turns it off. He opens it up. And for a moment, the old question returns. Not what should we buy next, but what can still be saved? Because when America forgot the vacuum repair shop, it did not just forget a business. It forgot a place where even the most ordinary machine was given one more chance.